Can seamoss affect birth control pills? Now, let me know. I want to know, first of all, if you've heard this in the first place. Like, have you heard other people say or things on the internet that suggest that seamoss can actually affect birth control pills, whether negatively or positively? So I want you to write down in the comments, have you heard that they can affect birth control pills? And how have you heard that they might affect birth control pills? I'm really, really curious about this. We are going to sort of unpack this topic today. It's one that I've sort of seen rumblings about, and I wanted to check in with you guys. Also talk about what we know, what we don't know right now. Also, we're going to touch base on whether seamoss can affect fertility and even states of arousal, like how aroused it helps you be. Like, is it an aphrodisiac? You see my eyes light up with that, right? Because, I mean, sounds amazing if it were, right? Guys, I'm Dr. Jen Caudle, practicing family physician, on-air health expert, and video creator. By the way, I do tons of videos on all sorts of stuff, from big butt pills to seamoss to biotin and turmeric to osteoporosis and blood pressure and diabetes and you name it, celebrity health. That's me. So if you've not liked and if you've not subscribed to my channel, I invite you to do so. Also, I should tell you, I've got a few other videos on seamoss that you may want to take a look at. I have a video on the benefits of seamoss. I'll make sure I'll put these links in the comments of this video. I also have a video on the potential dangers of seamoss, and then I also have a video on whether seamoss helps us lose weight or not. Okay, because those are some questions I know have been rumbling around. Okay, so let's go back to let's start with not the birth control piece. Let's start with the other stuff first. Let's start with fertility. Okay, does seamoss affect fertility? Well, to be honest with you, I haven't seen a lot of studies about whether seamoss affects fertility. There are some people that says seamoss will help your fertility. I don't know that we have a lot of good data that says this is actually the case. What I would say to any person, any of you out there that's trying to conceive, you want to be fertile, or maybe you want to know how fertile it's making you if you're taking this, talk to your OBGYN, okay? And I know some of you guys say, Doc, you always say to talk to our doctors, but our doctors don't know much about holistic medicine or supplements, etc. I say to talk to your doctor because this is the thing. Sometimes we know a little bit more about this stuff than you think, but sometimes even more importantly, we know what things can cause interactions with other stuff, or what things could be a problem with maybe underlying conditions that you have, or if you're dealing with fertility or infertility or whatever, they can weigh in on that, okay? So again, I don't have a lot of data on whether, seamoss affects fertility or not. I would say before you take it for fertility, check with your doctor, okay? By the way, I want to know, has any of you taken it for fertility? What do you think? Do you have any thoughts about that? Now, the aphrodisiac part, does sort of seamoss give you a sense, sort of a panache, like it sort of increases arousal, etc.? Well, I think this is probably a little bit more subjective, right? I've certainly seen and heard accounts from people who say it helps them feel more aroused, etc. I've heard and seen accounts from people who say, no, it didn't do anything. Again, not a lot of objective data, but this would probably be more anecdotal, don't you think? Like, it depends on how it makes you feel. Now, this is the thing. Everybody responds differently to everything, right? So I say if you take it because it helps you feel aroused, well, as long as your doctor says it's okay and it's not going to interfere with anything, I say, you know me. I'm a family doctor, so of course I'm cautious. I always say, run everything by your doctor, okay? Now, let's get to the piece, which is what probably the main purpose of this video, which is to talk about, does seamoss affect birth control pills? This is a question that has literally popped up on so many of my accounts, from my TikTok videos to Instagram to Facebook to even YouTube. And I was like, gosh, I think this is a thing. And I put it in the Googler Schmoogler, and I'm seeing all these questions about birth control and seamoss, okay? So I don't actually know where sort of the question initially came from. And I would really love to know from any of you guys, if you know, like, where did the question stem from? Was it like a celebrity that brought it up? Was it something you read? Like, I'd love to know. Sometimes I can pick up on where these things are coming from. I know seamoss was featured on Shark Tank at one point. That certainly increased interest in other things, right? But let me know about that. But this is what I would say. There's not a lot of good data about seamoss and birth control pills. Okay, that's based on the research I've done. By the way, if you're out there and you have some good data about seamoss and birth control pills, whether you're a fellow doctor, colleague, etc., or not, can you send it to me, please? Because I think it's very important to have. So I'm not familiar with any good data that tells us how, if any way, seamoss affects birth control pills. But don't shut the video off now, because I'm not done, okay? That's sort of a statement I have to say because it's a very important statement. But there's a few things we need to keep in mind when we talk about seamoss. Number one, we do know it can have lots of benefits, right? I did a whole video on the benefits, lots of nutrition, lots of nutrients, etc., etc., okay? That is a fact. Number two, however, there are potential dangers to seamoss. Potential dangers. That is a fact too. Remember, and don't be mad at me for saying this, because a lot of people are like, oh, she a hater. No, I'm not a hater. There's just two sides literally to every coin, even prescription medications, right? There's always a good side and there's always potential side effects. So the potential side effects of seamoss, or sort of negative things about it, is number one, it can contain heavy metals, which can be problematic, depending on like where the seamoss is harvested from. It can increase your iodine levels, which can affect your thyroid and other organs in a way it's not a good way. There are other potential interactions it can have with prescription medications you are taking, potentially, such as birth control, but just, I mean, honestly, could potentially interact with any medications or potentially interact with other supplements, okay? And that's just sort of the two sides of the coin. There are potential benefits, there are potential risks. Now, with that in mind, does seamoss, do something with birth control specifically? Once again, I'm going back to, I don't know that we have a lot of good data to say if there is something specific about seamoss and birth control pills. What I would do, and I know you guys might be able to guess what I'm about to say, but this is really, really important. See, before you start taking seamoss, you need to talk to your GYN or your prescribing doctor with the birth control. Because, by the way, guys, you don't want to mess with birth control. Honestly, you don't want to mess with any of your meds. You want to know or have an idea if your doctor thinks there could be some potential interactions, any negative sort of side effects or interactions that you might have, or anything like that. And once again, I'm going to say this. I know I sound like a broken record. Many of you might say, well, doctors don't know. Well, no, this is the thing. We don't know everything about everything. You're exactly right about that. But what we do know is we know you. And sometimes what we don't all consider when we're talking about supplements, etc., is we don't consider that everybody's body is different. What if you have a thyroid condition? What if you have a fertility issue? What if you're being given supplements by your doctor for X, Y, or Z? So maybe we may not know everything about everything, which is a fact. But we may know enough to say, hey, you know what? I understand you may want to take this, but I would actually be cautious because of this thing that you and I are working on with your health. Or maybe this could be a benefit because of this thing that we're working on with your health. That's what I mean. Talking to your doctor is more about having an individualized plan for your health and for your health care. You're not going to be the same as your girlfriend or your guy friend or your mother or your father, whomever you're talking about these supplements with. You aren't the same. So what might be right for someone else may not be right for you. Not because there's necessarily anything wrong with the supplement. It just might be just different people. Okay. So that's why I say hard evidence about birth control and seamoss, is sort of what, seamoss affecting birth control. No, I don't have it. It doesn't mean that there is no effect. It doesn't mean that there's a positive effect. It doesn't mean there's a negative effect. It means that I am not familiar with any good studies that says what such effect might be if there is an effect, which is why you should talk to your doctor and nutritionists. I love nutritionists, guys. They're amazing. Talk to nutritionists. They are awesome. Let me know what you think. Check out my other seamoss videos. Okay, I put them in the description of this video. I love y'all. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I talk about stuff like this all the time. Let me know what you think. I know you will anyway, which is awesome because I want to hear what you think. I'm Dr. Jen Caudle, practicing family physician, on-air health expert, and video creator. Please subscribe. Click the little bell for updates. Guys, I'll see you soon.